Amelia carefully folded Ethan's dress shirts, her hands moving with a familiar, loving rhythm. As she zipped his suitcase, a wave of peaceful quiet settled over her. He was leaving for Paris for 2 weeks on a business trip, and with the kids at school, she finally had a moment to herself. That evening, as she sipped a glass of wine, she felt a rare sense of calm. But as she scrolled through her phone, a photo popped up that made her heart stop. There was Ethan standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, his arm around a woman she didn't know. The caption read, "Parisian adventures with my love." A cold, sickening feeling twisted in her stomach. The woman was Chloe, a colleague Ethan had mentioned. Amelia's peaceful night shattered. She knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that this wasn't a business trip. It was a lie. For the next 2 weeks, the silence of her home became a heavy weight. She went through her days like a ghost, making lunches and helping with homework, all while a single, painful question burned in her mind. She wanted to scream and throw things, but she didn't. She just waited for him to come home. When he finally walked through the door, the tension was so thick you could almost touch it. He gave her a quick kiss and started talking about his trip, but his words were meaningless to her. All she could see was that photo. "Ethan," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "we need to talk." He looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw not love, but a deep, hollow shame. She didn't have to say another word. The silence that followed was his confession, a brutal moment that broke her heart into a million tiny, sharp pieces. He knew he was caught. He stammered out clumsy excuses, calling it a mistake and a moment of weakness. But Amelia knew a mistake was an accident. This was a choice, a 2-week-long deception. The man she thought she knew was a stranger. With a quiet strength she didn't know she had, she looked at him and simply told him to leave. That night, Ethan lay on his friend's couch, the silence of the unfamiliar house mocking him. He had traded everything, his loving wife, his happy home, his family, for a fleeting, selfish fling. He replayed the look on Amelia's face, the profound emptiness in her eyes. He finally understood the heavy price of betrayal. It wasn't just about the lie. It was about breaking a sacred promise and losing after telling Ethan to leave. Amelia stood in the doorway, watching him go. The click of the front door was the sound of her entire world splintering. The silence that followed was different now. It wasn't peaceful or lonely. It was hollow and final. She moved through the house in a daze, her mind replaying every detail, every lie. The next morning, the children's questions were like daggers. "Where's Dad?" Sam asked, his little voice full of innocent confusion. "He's on another trip," Amelia said, the lie tasting like ash in her mouth. She couldn't bring herself to shatter their sense of safety. Not yet. Meanwhile, Ethan's life had become a desolate echo of his mistakes. His days were spent in a fog of regret. The professional triumphs he once craved now feeling utterly meaningless. Finally, one day, Ethan came back home to say sorry to Amelia. He stood on the doorstep, the weight of his betrayal a physical thing, holding him in place. He rang the doorbell, his heart pounding, and waited. When Amelia opened the door, her face was unreadable. It wasn't the fiery anger he half expected, but a quiet, tired sadness that cut him deeper than any shout could have. "Amelia," he started, his voice a shaky whisper. "I know I have no right to be here. I had to come and tell you in person how deeply sorry I am." She leaned against the doorframe, her arms crossed, and simply looked at him. "Words don't mean much right now, Ethan." "I know," he said, tears welling in his eyes. I know that, and I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I just want to tell you the truth. Everything I said was a lie. My business trip, the late nights, all of it. I was selfish, and I made a horrible mistake that hurt you and our family more than I can ever put into words. I've been living a lie, and the worst part is I didn't even realize how much I was losing until I'd lost it. Amelia's eyes, which had been cold and distant, softened for a fleeting moment. She saw the genuine pain in his face, the raw regret. It wasn't the man she had loved, but a shattered version of him. And for a moment, her own pain felt a little less lonely. I don't know what to do, she admitted, her voice cracking. My heart is telling me to slam this door in your face, but my head keeps thinking about Lily and Sam. I keep thinking about how a part of our family would be gone forever. Ethan stepped closer, not daring to touch her. Please, just let me try to make things right. I will do anything, go to any therapy, anything you ask. I'll fight for us every single day for the rest of my life. I promise you that. His words weren't just an apology. They were a plea, a promise to rebuild what he had broken. Amelia looked at the man she once knew, and in his brokenness, she saw a glimmer of hope. She didn't forgive him then and there, but she didn't close the door either. Instead, Amelia stood aside and let Ethan in. He walked into the living room, a place that had been his home for years, but now felt alien. He looked at the family photos, the children's toys, and the warmth he had so carelessly thrown away. Amelia closed the door behind him, not with a bang, but with a quiet click. She didn't offer him a hug or a cup of coffee. She simply pointed to the couch, a silent invitation to talk. This was not a moment of forgiveness, but a first, difficult step. Their family was still under one roof, but the house was no longer the same. It was no longer a symbol of their perfect life, but a new, fragile space where the hard work of healing would finally begin.